Yeah, I mean, so I would, so.
All right, I'm Brandy Brink. So how many of you guys have ever been out with your friends and realized halfway through your meal that not only were you looking at your phone for 30 minutes, but everyone else at the table has also been looking at their phone? I know I'm guilty of this, at least once or twice every month. If you guys haven't ever seen this, it looks something like this, where you're out to dinner with your friends and nobody's looking at anyone else but their phones. Maybe you've been out to the beach and enjoyed some nice weather on your phone, or possibly even had coffee with friends but really just enjoyed your phone. With each new generation comes a new form of technology and communication. From the beginning of time, people have been trying to find new forms of communication. It started with paintings on stone and moved to letters on paper, moving from the telegraph to the telephone, all the way up to how we communicate today with social media, text messaging, and the internet. While each leap in technology has its own benefits, it also has its own set of consequences. In my opinion, new media has negatively affected the way we communicate with friends. Some people argue that it has never been easier to stay in touch with friends than it is today. We can be in contact 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, within seconds. We're able to pick up a phone to send a quick text message or connect online through Facebook. While all of this is good, in my opinion, we've traded ease of communication for quality of that communication. Rather than sitting down face-to-face with a friend, we choose to shoot them a text. And rather than go visit a friend in person to keep up to date with their life, we just stalk them on Facebook for 5 minutes to get the quick version. Our lives move so quickly today, we'd rather keep things short and sweet than take the time to really invest in our friendships. Maria Konnikova presents ideas of Robin Dunbar, an anthropologist and psychologist from the University of Oxford, in her article, The Limits of Friendship, in The New Yorker. In the article, Dunbar states that while Facebook is beneficial for keeping track of people who would normally disappear from our lives, like that guy you met at that party freshman year who lives down the hall from you, it doesn't make up for face-to-face time with true friends. He goes on to state that what makes friendships strong is bonding over shared experiences. Things like attending events together, laughing at the same jokes, struggling through speech class together. While Facebook and Twitter have tried to imitate the feelings of shared experiences, they still fall short because you're still essentially experiencing these things alone by yourself on your computer. So despite having watched the exact same YouTube post that your friend sent you that they watched 15 minutes before, it doesn't equal the same bonding experience as if you two would have watched it together. So if you're only looking for surface friendships, social media is great. But if you're looking for a more deeper connection, the old-fashioned way is by far better. Social media also allows us to keep in touch with more people than ever before. This touches upon the age-old argument of quality versus quantity, which we all learned from our mothers. It's far better to have a few really good friends than to have a lot of really not-so-good ones. Robin Dunbar backs your mother's knowledge with some good old-fashioned science in his article, Social Networks. He specializes in meaningful social connections and the study of the brain's ability to juggle friendships. By measuring brain size and plugging it into a calculation, Dunbar has come up with a 150 as the number of meaningful relations one brain can handle on average. He states that despite people claiming thousands of friends and followers online through Facebook and Twitter, only about 150 on average can people actually keep up with without losing meaning in their other relationships. Even this number, he says, is large, with your most intimate relations actually only reaching 5 to 15 for most people. Dunbar argues that despite a constant growth in technology, history has proven time and time again that the magic number is 150. If you attempt to gain more than that, you run the risk of losing meaning to all of your relationships. So it's better to enhance the relationships you have than to try and gather more friends. Another feature people rave about that social media offers is the ability to always know how your friends are feeling and doing. You get an instant update when your friend is so happy it's finally springtime. This leads you to believe your friend is happy in life currently. But is that necessarily true? What people don't realize is that what people post can be misleading. All too often in our lives, we hear about people taking their own lives and committing suicide. Oftentimes, friends state that they had no idea their loved ones were even depressed. That's in everyday face-to-face interactions you have with these people. Now take away the personal experience of seeing them face-to-face out of the equation. Imagine only seeing posts and texts. A person can lead you to believe whatever they want, even that they're happy. In Kelsey Sundstrom's article, How Social Media Affects Our Self-Perception, she lists this difference in online personality and real self as smiling depression. She goes on to state that social media not only helps us hide our depression, but can also lead to it. The pressure of having to appear completely put together online and post the right things in order to not lose apparent friends that you have eats away at people. And the more time they put into their online selves, the less they spend cultivating their actual relationships in real life. One study done by the Journal of Computers and Human Behavior showed that while both face-to-face and computer-mediated social support were beneficial, face-to-face was far greater at preventing depression. Being online allows you to create a vicious cycle of sitting at home alone by yourself, looking at how happy all of your friends appear to be, even though we all know that's not necessarily how they actually are. This glamorization can minimize the way you view your life and your interactions with others, leading to depression and suicide. Forbes magazine agrees that you are more likely to miss signs of depression when solely communicating online. It states that only 7% of communication is based on the verbal word. The other 93% is nonverbal communication. So how are you supposed to pick up on your friends' emotions when the only interactions you have is through text? And I'm fine could hide more meaning. You miss out on body language, tone of voice, and eye contact. Social media may allow you constant access to people, but only to what they want you and a million other followers to see and believe. It may not be how they truly feel or that in-depth into their lives. You're really only touching the surface of who that person is, which is hardly what I'd call friendship. My friends currently live all over the country from Phoenix to Washington, D.C. We keep in touch through various forms of communication. However, it's not until we meet in person over the holidays that I really feel connected to them. I find out so much more about each of them that I didn't know because you couldn't see it on social media. Even the friends I see every day, it's a constant battle to try and compete with time for them that's spent with them looking at their iPhones. You can hardly get through a meal without a phone vibrating or someone taking selfies or Instagramming their meal. People spend more time cruising their phones than actually communicating. To quote Albert Einstein, "I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interactions. The world will have a generation of idiots." If the youth of today don't figure out how to disconnect from their phones and internet and connect with one another on a more personal level, I fear we may already have reached the generation that Einstein spoke of. Thank you.